Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your weekly reading. Let's see what the cards have in store for you. We're going to start with the theme. Let's see, Virgo, please. What does Virgo need to know at this time? Fear. Okay. I realize that I'm testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. That's actually a really beautiful statement, right? Because when we're scared, when we're terrified, when we're feeling like we're backed into a corner, when we're feeling threatened, because that's really what fear does, is just expose where we feel threatened. I'm getting that. Like, I'm getting a sense, Virgo, of you feel like your livelihood is threatened or your way of being is threatened in a way. You're in a very vulnerable position with something. So you're working through fear this week. And a good way to transmute that is love, right? I know. I'm not trying to be foo-foo and cliche and like, oh, it's spiritual love and light. But think about it. So let's say that you are scared for an upcoming interview or scared for receiving some results, right? What's the best thing that you can do? Well, you can distract yourself, right, with doing things that you love. Like, let's say if you love baking cookies, then you got an interview in the morning, it's 8 p.m. at night, you can't sleep anyway. You might as well go downstairs in the kitchen and bake some cookies and relax yourself a little bit because it's something that you love, so it brings in the energy of love. That's what I'm getting a sense of, like, that's a good step to take this week. That's a good thing to do. Use your time in a productive way that will bring more love and less fear. Okay, so I'm getting a sense of like taking physical action to work through something very scary, it's very like, it is fear inducing. It's fear inducing, whatever this is. I'm almost getting a sense of like, what is this? Yeah. Okay. So this is a challenge. Stability, harmony, peace, fluidity, emotional balance. You see how that's the storm clouds there, right? So it's also like night and day. This feels like just a week of, what do I do? Panic also. It's not just fear. It feels like panic. And working through that emotionally. In order to heal one emotion, sometimes it's to bring a different emotion in. I guess that's my point that I'm trying to make. And that's why I love that statement right there. In order to balance out fear, bring in love. In order to balance out panic, bring in serenity, right? Bring in peace. I'm going to tell you again, typical spiritual advice here, all right? Do things for you this week. Practice self-care. Practice self-love. Practice it. And I don't mean do it for 2 minutes and then call it a day. No, I genuinely mean invest actual time in being with self and taking care of self this week. Don't let distractions or scheduling or other people or work take that away from you, because you need it. You highly need it this week to ground, because there's a sense of panic. I keep saying that. There's a sense of like, you're just freaking out. You're freaking out about something, Virgo. You're freaking out. So needing to find more namaste, more om, which is extremely difficult, right? At sometimes, especially when it's, again, this is real life. This is real life. We deal with things like losing jobs or dealing with death or health crisis or whatever. This is real life. That's the way we read on this channel, so I get it. It's much easier said than done for you to find emotional balance. Some emotions are trying to take over and not letting other emotions soothe you. All right, so you gotta, sometimes, and I know as weird as it sounds, but sometimes you gotta talk to yourself and be like, hey, stop it. Like you're training a dog. Like, that's it. Sometimes it's about just smacking yourself in the back of the head. Like, hey, we're not doing this today. We're not. There's no point. There's no point except to make you feel worse. Accountability. Accountability is a good tool on a spiritual journey. We tend to want to look outwards, right? We tend to want to seek for the solution or blame everybody else or everything else. The key to a good spiritual journey is accountability. What am I doing to stress myself out more? Why am I doing this to myself, right? Why am I so scared? Why am I inducing fear? More fear. It's kind of like when you start to let the brain go wild and then you're creating all these stories and scenarios that aren't even going to happen or they haven't even existed ever. Again, yep, there it is. Hope, optimism, a good outlook on life. I don't want that one. Well, no, I'll take that one. Okay. I'm getting a sense of like just finding yourself again. Finding yourself through this like really difficult situation that you have to navigate. Being honest with yourself, not lying to yourself, speaking truthfully, frankly, distinctly with yourself and others is very important this week. There's just there's a situation where you're struggling with juggling it. Okay, you're struggling with juggling the emotions of it and maybe the physical action, but even maybe money, finances, career, whatever, the effort. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. This feels like you're further on your path than you think you are, and you are more mature and more man, this light is just right on the cards. More you should just trust yourself more to be able to handle this properly and not in a childish or immature way. You're not immature. You're not childish is what I'm saying. Okay? You are a very developed, very mature, very progressed soul. And again, just be honest with yourself. Yeah, this scares the shit out of me. Yeah, I need to be more optimistic, not pessimistic. I need to have a better outlook on this. What happens when we feel threatened? What happens when we feel like we're backed into a corner and our options are limited, right? Because we're scared. Well, we tend to not be open, right? We tend to close off. We tend to shut down. We tend to hide away from the world and try to protect ourselves instead of being, okay, well, what can I do? Let me try some things out. Let me learn a new way of doing it. A new way of communicating, a new way of thinking, a new way of perceiving, because this is the Page of Swords. I'm going to be honest. The internet and things of that nature are going to be very useful for you this week. Phones, tablets, laptops, electronics. Very mercurial here, Virgo. I'm telling you, it's on the table. Do those things. You might find an answer there, okay? If they don't have the book that you want at the library, try online. Try to use a Libby or whatever. You know, there's a bunch of... What I want to say is there are resources that you haven't tapped into in order to emotionally work through something that's scaring the shit out of you. I think it doesn't have to be a new job. It could be a new area of study that's scaring you, or a new... Again, you haven't done this yet. It is uncharted waters, unexplored area of your life. You feel inexperienced. That's what it is. You feel inexperienced. Faith will get you through this right now. Faith in self, faith in the path. Also, I mean, this could be like, working through fear in a marriage or in a commitment that you've wholeheartedly committed yourself to. But I'm getting a sense of like getting out of the traditional way of doing things, clearing the air, trying something new. Because it's not gonna be fixed. It's not gonna heal. You're not gonna be able to work through it in a traditional sense. You have to think untraditionally. You have to think out of the box. Okay, in a very Aquarian way. I think fear is also stopping you from looking at something truthfully. I mean, we just keep getting that message over and over here, Virgo. Fear is stopping you from opening your eyes, from being honest with yourself, opening up your heart. And you're very indecisive about something. You cannot make a solid decision, a firm decision on a situation. Could have to do with motherhood. Could have to do with you trying to bring something into creation. There's been a lot of ups and downs with abundance, finances, resources, maybe health. And you're about to bring fertility to a situation that is going to be painful and is going to be a long road. It's not going to be an overnight success type of thing, which means that you have to be really adamant. You have to be forceful with self. What did I say? Sometimes you got to smack yourself in the back of the head and be like, that's enough. And you need to be as optimistic and as open-minded and as willing and free to see what comes next. Oh my God, I just said open-minded and free, and you have the fool. Yeah. Try to maintain a childlike nature about this. I know that we say that kids are scared of everything, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes you can learn a lot by watching a kid, right? Like they will just go headfirst into something because if they're excited about it and they're ready and they want to explore. They're naturally exploring creatures, right? We get older, we become less explorative. We become less, willing to try new things and see the world. Go down the rabbit hole. We become less. And we become more scared. And we become more, stoic, the Hierophant. We become more reserved, more cautious, more pessimistic. That's just what happens when we grow up, right? Well, you're being asked to do the complete opposite. You're being asked to do the complete opposite. It's funny that you have beginnings and birth and life all over the table, but then death comes in. I feel like death is a transformation. I don't feel like it's an ending. I feel like you're transforming an idea. You have a good idea. All right. And it scares the living shit out of you. You want to go for it. You want to start it, but it scares you. You don't know what to do. So now you do nothing and you ignore it. Guess what, Virgo? It's going to be that itch that you can't scratch, and it's going to start irritating you more, and it's going to start becoming more prevalent. It's going to start showing up so much more. All right. Until you cannot ignore it any longer. I'm telling you something about. This could be social media. This could be texting a good friend, getting a phone call from a coworker. There's something there about that will open up a little bit more. And it will provide you with a different doorway of opportunity. Socialize this week, network this week, connect with the people that you know and the people that you love, because that could clear the air for you and that could bring the winds of change in. I think that there is sadness and sorrow over a long-term commitment. Again, something that you have fully committed in. And it's painful. It's painful to start over. It's painful to birth new. It's painful to feel like you are inexperienced all over again, or you're having to go back to the beginning. It's always painful because it's bitter taste of failure. And I think that the bitter taste of failure is inducing fear now. But again, the Page of Swords has popped up twice now. You need to understand that you're about to witness the winds of change. Things are not going to stay the same. Things are not going to be the same forever. All right? One situation is not going to ruin your entire life. It's just not going to happen. It shouldn't. You should not allow it to. That's not fair to you, and that's not fair to the people around you either. So don't. Easier said than done. But I know you're going to work this through, Virgo. I know you are. You're a strong person. You're a powerful person. Remember that. I hope this helped. Thank you for tuning in. If you want a personal reading with me, the website is in the description box. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.